Shared them. Right?
What's that?
She shared with your control.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, we'll call this meeting to order. The first piece of business is that we had a public hearing scheduled for 6:25. It's to take public comment on proposed local law that would authorize the Board of Trustees to conduct its meeting consistent with video conferencing provisions of Public Officers Law 103-A and the video conferencing policies adopted by the Board of Trustees. Comment could have been made on this by mail or email. I've received none. So set aside 5 minutes for people to comment about the video conferencing law that we are proposing. Jerry, you want to add anything to that, or Jerry worked on this for us, made a few changes that were recommended?
We followed the model law that the New York Conference of Mayors suggested. This is in line with the Public Officers Law 103-A. Basically, as long as a quorum is present, visible location, other board members can video if they have a valid reason for doing so. Reasons are stated in your local law, stated in the Public Officers Law. So this is just an opportunity to give you this option if it is needed. If you have a board member who has a family emergency or health issue, if they still want to participate, they can do it by phone.
Does this sunset at some point?
Well, the law that authorizes it sunsets in 2024.
Okay. But this will carry through. Okay. Is there any comment? Public comment? Glad I only set aside 5 minutes.
You predict this, these kind of things pretty well.
Yeah, I know, so. But give it a minute and then we'll move on. Well, I think we gave everybody a chance. Go ahead and start. Okay. Now we'll move to our regular meeting. And we're gonna. Huh?
Sorry, so she hasn't. She can't hear us? Or I don't see her having a microphone, but she can't hear. No, she's definitely hears. It's her name.
Okay, well, it's being recorded, so we're okay. Technology is fun down here.
No, I think it's her vision.
Okay, so we're to move on to our regular monthly meeting. I have to add under new business J, schedule a public hearing for a Restore New York grant. And I am going to move forward before we get into the regular business. Reverend Mike asked to speak to us to present probably a run-up or a final report on the tree grant that was completed in the park. And I'm going to move Mike to the front so that he can present us what he wanted to talk about. And you looking for somebody up there?
Michelle Higgins, the grants administrator from the East.
She's there.
Oh, okay. All right. So can she speak?
Mhm.
Okay. And Steve is here from the regional office, Forrester. So thanks to both of them. So as part of the grant, we needed to do a public presentation to the board. And I see that local papers are there, and that's great. I have some handouts. I'm going to try not to reiterate what's been written down, but so the first thing I'm passing out is a survey. And this was done by Aaron, the county forester. And he just looked at all the trees in the park. You don't need to look at it. I'm not going to reference it.
Okay.
But I just wanted to give you a sense of the scope of how much work had to be done in the park for the 50-some trees. So got something. Again, so this is a photo of kind of where the new trees went in. And of course, the DC was great in giving us this grant. The church, as you know, being a religiously owned property, does not qualify for very much. And so this is one of the little qualify for and town was to get the grant plane, but I will tell you, elegant. We grant as economic county and helping with survey. And then you so I think, and I did programs. As park, you can see the top kind of bare that'll mend itself, and then we had a couple of trees, cucumber trees that are in that pasture.
Go ahead.
They're under assault from the invasive ash borer. And one really been kept anyway. The other one, the general thinking is to take them down before they're infested. If only to stop the infestation. The decision was made after the tree committee voiced their concerns that we tried. The DC gate is going to pay for inoculations every other year for the first 10 years. And that's funded. So, and I told Michelle that I would make sure that happened with the contractor. But from year 11 to 20, we can figure out how villages, because I may not be here, You may not be here either. So we have to create some institutional.
That's true.
Institutional memory about how that has to happen, and part of that is that we need to fund it, so it's gonna cost about $2,500 for that to happen, and that money either will be raised or has been raised. And then at some point, I'll get that to the village, and we can escrow it for those purposes.
Is that?
No, it's for the whole shop. For the last, so it's a 20-year cycle. The first 10 years are paid for,
Are funded.
covered, and set up. It would be from year 11 to 20.
Right.
And so,
Which is like the people who are here.
well,
Yeah.
the money needs to be here.
Yeah.
Who are here that to do the job. That's all, so, our problem.
So it covers the first 10 years.
No. 2,500 for the first 10 years is covered under this grant.
Got it. Right.
The I know, as I talked to Lee, I was assuming he may be here, but I guess there's some money left in that, on that grant.
Yes.
And so she asked me to reach out to the contractor, Michael, and I talked to him today. He's interested in doing that. I think it might be a little bit, speaking of elegant, it might be a little bit more elegant in the fact that the money's already been awarded for the purpose, the contractor's on board. It would just be a matter of figuring out what the village wants to add on to.
Right.
Maybe we could, wrap that extra tree in the park into it, whatever, that's for Lee to figure out.
She had, was supposed to be here. She had something right at,
That's fine,
this,
but she's on that,
okay,
is what I'm saying. So there may be, the grant was more than we needed
okay,
for the park board.
okay.
And I think it was done for I think the whole thing cost $30,000, I think the grant was 40. So I think there's 10 left, or a little bit less than 10. I saw the other bids that came in, and it was way more than 40 or something.
Right.
And it was a local guy. In fact, I'll tell the story now. The guy that actually had the contract, was a contractor, Michael. For those of you that have been around Canton a long time, at least when I got here, Canton, the park was the village teen center. And there'd be 20, 30, 40 kids sitting in the park, and with nothing to do and nowhere to go. He was one of those kids. And so he was very interested personally in doing this, because he spent a good part of his youth in a positive way in the park.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Well, thank you.
Do you have anything while they get that back up?
Oh, we're up.
Oh, okay.
I do want to stress something. Some of the trees were cabled.
Mhm.
And with cable trees, some sort of inspection should happen probably once a year by a certified arborist. And then once every 3 years, a certified arborist should probably climb that tree to inspect the hardware of those cable trees, because cable trees is something you do because the tree does have problems. And what we want to make sure so that people are safe around those trees and those trees don't fail is to make sure that those cables are working the way they're supposed to.
Okay,
So I'm hoping that can happen.
How many are there?
5 or 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on that list.
I can't remember.
It's on that list.
offhand.
okay.
So I hear what you're saying, Mike, and we can talk to Lee and let her figure out the money that's left over, but it seems to me that maybe we could use some of that money left over to pay for the ongoing.
I don't want to speak for Steve or Michelle, but my understanding is it's for immediate work. We really had to have. The DEC has been very supportive, very gracious, because when it came to this ash remediation. Typically, that's not the way these grants go, that you get the money, you spend the money, not that it's 10 years out. So there may be, you'd have to talk to Michelle particularly about that. There may be some room, but my guess is I think if the easiest thing to do is just use it for what it is, which is immediate remediation, removal, cleaning, whatever it is. And then down the road, do that. And, we can talk about that. I'm not going anywhere soon, so at least for the next 6 years, I would say.
And Lee knows the terms of the grant anyway.
Right,
So,
yeah, but I'm saying that the DEC took an interest in preserving this ash tree.
okay,
I believe Lee and Michelle have been in talks to look at this recent plan that you that from
Was
the other
done, yeah.
grants. To look at trees that need some pruning around the village. And I believe Lee is in the process of looking at that and coming up with a list of trees that might need some pruning.
Okay.
I haven't heard what yet. so.
Okay.
I would ask.
Michelle? Do you have anything to add, Michelle?
No, just a congratulations on a great job. Very, very pleased with everybody there. Done a really good job. Steve has been fantastic over and above the call of duty. Reverend Mike made it very easy to work with you. And Lee, of course, has done 2 projects, the tree maintenance and the tree inventory. So we've been in contact for nearly 2 years every day. So
Okay,
well
you.
done, and thank you for, thanks again for doing such a great job. And I paid the bill yesterday. I thought you might like.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. And I'm sure we'll be
Thank you.
working with you again.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. Thank you. Board have any questions for Mike? Good job. Thank you.
That kind of wraps up the tree part. So if you could give me just 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
and Just talk, okay, I didn't have a chance. So we're right at the end of wrapping up this whole thing. Now, when we first pitched it, it was 3 phases, with the 3rd phase being $100,000 for sidewalks. That money is just not in the community. I don't think. I know that I've talked to Lee about including that in the grant from the state, and if that comes through, that would be great. I've given her figures and numbers, and that would be a wonderful thing. But short of that, it was the fountain and the tree work which needed to get done. So I did pass this out. This is a donor sheet, and I would ask you to be very careful with this. Some people don't want to be on a donor list, so the next project gets the list and then calls and says, hey, you gave to this, can you give to something else? So just shred this when you're done. But I think it's interesting for you to see, and I didn't put dollar amounts. It's interesting for you to see, who's giving what, where, but I just want to kind of break down a little bit of what happened here. So we raised about $215,000 for the fountain, for the tree work, for the benches, the tables, and the trash cans, or the handicap patio, which I will tell you, it's used almost all the time. It is, the folks in the group homes have found that, and they're there. And the first day it was in, there were people there, and I walked through the park, and it really, really warmed my heart. It was above and beyond to do it, but we ended up getting a $5,000 grant from an agency downstate that were very enthusiastic about doing it. And they actually are looking to give us another $5,000 for some more stuff in the park. So that, and then putting in the benches themselves. And we had the benches and the picnic tables and the garbage cans was paid for through an initiative through the Chamber of Commerce. There were local businesses, some individuals contributed money as well. Bank contributed some money as well, but they really kind of stepped up above and beyond. And I just went to the meeting one day. I said, look, we've done this with the fountain, we're doing this with the trees, but here's this crazy idea to make it look better. And everyone said, yes, I think we can do it. And the money came in about 3 weeks. It was about $15,000. So just so people know, there are extra bench tops, picnic table tops down at the barn. The originals that came in were dented right off the truck, and I called them within hours. They eventually shipped new ones, so we left the dented ones on there, but the new ones are there. So at some point they start to wear down, they can just be swapped out. So 215 was raised, and then there's an additional $10,000 in an account at the Northern New York Community Foundation for maintenance of the fountain moving forward. And then we are looking at receiving about a little more than $9,500 from this Daisy Marquis Jones Foundation out of Rochester in the pipeline, and then the RVRA grant. We're about to submit another $100,000 in receipts to them, and that will yield us another 4,500. So we've got about 9,500 coming, which will raise the total to $234,475. That's what the whole project costs. There's a few things like there's some people that helped us along the way that didn't necessarily want the money right away, but they should get it. So that, you know, this extra money is going to come out of that. I need to buy a gallon of green stain because my obsessive nature will not allow me to look at those old benches that are peeling paint. So I'm going to go out there and paint those at some point. But I think it looks really good. It's being used. You know, I kind of kicked myself because 20 years ago, we should have had 10, 15 picnic fields in the park. They all get used. If you haven't been on a Friday during farmers market to the park, go check it out. So that's the deal. I'd like to get a little money to the village for some electrical supplies. They were very gracious enough to do some paving and a few little odds and ends that we're going to clean up. And the intent is, from both the perspective of the church and my perspective, that we're going to spend all the money and zero that account out. That we don't want to. It needs to go to something, and it will. So that's it. If you have questions, I would just leave it up to whatever questions you have. I'm happy to answer.
Well, it's nice to see how that's turned out, the
Yeah.
fountain and all of it. Very pleased at how it worked out. So
That's it. No questions? None from the press?
they may call you later to follow up.
I know they have my number. And when I give you the sheet of everyone to thank, you got to include everybody. So the last thing I want to say is, this was not, I mean, I'm a handy guy, but this was way beyond anything I've ever done before. And Tyler Lock and Lock Design and Build was phenomenal. They're a local contractor, Canton based. They've been wonderful at every turn. But in this whole process, there had to be work between the village barn and the guys down there and the contractor, whomever they may be, whether it's a tree cutter or the fountain people or whatever. And every single time I went down and asked for something, and I'm talking well over 50 times, they always said yes, and they always just did. And if there's one way to make life better in Canton for everyone that lives here, is to support the fellows down in the park. And I don't necessarily mean monetarily, though that's always good, but just acknowledge and thank you what they're doing, because they're out there doing stuff that nobody realizes, no one sees. And I never once went down there and found anyone being idle. They were always doing something, and they always have too much to do. And they always seem to get around it. They replaced the fountain, the pipe work for the spigot near the fountain today, and hauled away the old benches. I mean, they hate to see me come. That's a pain in the ass. Sorry, this is being recorded. Anyway, that's it. That's what I got. That's all she wrote.
Thank you.
That's nice to hear, Mike, and I will say that there are several other items on the agenda today that give accolades to the DPW crew too. So it's nice to hear it from outside of the thing.
Well, Rick Delorme is constantly and helped and I just, the list goes on about needing a front loader to put the fountain on, or having a truck to drive down and get to new trees, or getting the backhoe to dig some holes for the tree. And it's just been one thing after another. And Paul, who is here, gets great credit for helping to raise the funds. And I've kind of been the face on this, but this is the guy that raised the money. So big thanks. And you want to say anything?
You did a lot more work than I did.
Wow.
I just begged. And
Yeah.
they gave me the money, but every time I drive by and I see the kids running around in there, ice cream on. It makes me feel really good. And when I see the water not running, I call Reverend Mike, what's going on?
Well,
Yep.
the pump burned out, and then the supply side, we couldn't get it. I finally had to find one in New Jersey, and with a little bit extra money, I'm gonna get an extra pump, so that one goes, be on one spot right out. Trust me, I told the guy in New Jersey, I said, look, you get a free wedding or a funeral, I gotta get this pump, because they're gonna run me out of town on the rail. It's $250,000 and no water flow.
I'd really like to get those sidewalks done, but $100,000,
Yeah.
like you said, it's not in the community right now.
And it's,
I don't think, but unless we,
well, it is, I should correct that, it is in the community, it's in parts of the community that need to decide that it's in their best interest as well as everyone's best interest to support that. Because it would look
it would
fantastic.
look fantastic.
And it's easier to raise money having done a good job, so let's hope that someone gets that message. Can I say one last thing? If I had a key to the park to give to somebody, it would go to Dave Ray.
Amen.
Yeah, we agree with that.
So he's just a hell of a guy, and I've said this before, he pulled me aside 4 years ago, I was trying to get somewhere quickly across the park, and he sped up and said, Mike, this fountain's gotta get fixed. I said, Reverend, this fountain's gotta get fixed, or it's gotta come down, you gotta do it. I said, all right, I talked to Paul, and that's how it started. He spends untold amount of hours there, and however they have his job structured down there, he's just great.
All right,
Agreed.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dave Early.
Great job, Mike.
This is a great way to kick off the meeting.
Well, it's nice to have some good news, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
When it all works together. Yep. I am gonna go, if somebody in the newspaper, if people wanna talk, you're certainly welcome to call me, but my pizza's not ready at Sergi's till 7:15. Thank you. Thanks
See
for
ya.
what you're doing.
Yep. Thank you, Mike.
Sure. Dave,
Okay. So now that that's out of the way. First item is to approve minutes. We're catching up slowly. Have minutes to approve from 3/7 and 4/20. We're gonna table the 5/18 ones because I think there's a mix up there. So I need a motion to approve those. So moved.
I will second that and then I'll make comments. There is one problem in the March 7th ones that I want to be sure that we get corrected. The very last page of the March 7th ones, it says, it has to do with me stepping off of the Recreation Committee. It says trustee Pinchon shared that the town supervisor is currently on the Recreation Committee, but will be replaced by Mayor Dalton to balance the committees. So,
We'll fix that.
yeah, so that, and I actually think that's really important that that's
Yeah.
incorrect.
Okay.
So with that correction, I make a motion to approve the 4/20 and 3/7 minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, department head reports. We have several department heads that are not here. Due to illness, but on top is recreation.
Hello, everyone. So swimming lessons concluded last week, the final week we had at Taylor Park. Despite some cold weather, we actually did get some good turnouts, kids had a great time. This year we served about 130 individuals through swim lessons, including 2 adult age participants. The courts at Priest Field have all been resurfaced. We now have 4 real pickleball courts, and we have lines for 2 tennis courts. This was a huge job. Really, the majority of the work was underneath the paint. The amount of resurface work that went in. Seal Pro out of Saratoga came up and did it, and we did a 5-day job in 3 days because of them and because my staff working extra hours.
Megan, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you come up closer? Because this is not picking you up. Thank you, I'm sorry.
I've got such good things to say, though.
So on that same thing with Priestfield, must be DPW night. So a huge thank you to the crew out there. We don't have electricity or water at Priestfield, and we needed both for the project to make sure we had both. And of course, Dave Reagan came to the rescue because their power sander shorted out and he was able to fix it within an hour. So and that would have ended the whole project. So Buck Street playground equipment, it's all been repainted. Taylor Park equipment is almost all painted. It's been primed. I think we've got about one coat of paint on it, needs another. We're busy getting ready for the Rock and Mineral Show, which is next weekend at the Pavilion. The new front door for the pavilion, thank you, will be replaced after the Rock and Mineral Show. It's gonna be covered by insurance because it went through 3 windstorms this past winter. And Barclays is also scheduled to install an ADA button for the front door. So it's gonna
Great.
go on the first front door and then also the interior front door, which has 0 guts in it. So it's gonna be a job, but it needs to be done. The hours at Taylor Park, they will change. Our last week of being open, which starts on August 29th through September 5th. That's just due to lifeguard availability because guards are going back to college, they got sports going on, so we don't know the hours definite yet, but they will change a little bit. September 5th, which is Labor Day, that'll be the last day the beach is open. We will keep the park open as long as we can. And then we are also currently searching for a part-time winter laborer to help us out this winter. Other than that, does anybody have any questions?
Megan, when you know those hours, are you just gonna publicize them by posting them on Facebook?
Yeah, and I'll let media know.
Yes, it was all your summer programming, did it all happen before our last meeting? So have we heard about all of that, or was there any other summer programming since?
We've had we did a volleyball clinic, we had tennis clinic, we had a paddling clinic, we had dance, an introduction to dance. We had swimming. I think that's it.
Were the non-swimming ones well attended?
Very well attended.
Great.
Our tennis clinic probably on a good day, I think we had 30 kids.
Is that Harlem?
We had it over at St. Lawrence. Now we get to have it on our open courts, which is even better. And we have it more often if we want to. And she's very thrilled to actually have tennis courts again. I think the whole tennis community, they have not been able to use those courts in probably 30 years. So
Mhm.
it's nice to get that back in the works. Dance, we had about almost 20, I want to say 18 for dance. We almost had to put them on the pavilion floor because we were gonna have 20 kids up there. And volleyball was a little slow, maybe 10, but I think that's just the week that we chose because it was the week of July 4th.
Mm.
So next year we'll just change that. But yeah, swimming lessons went really well. Kids had a great time. We had one kid that would not get in the pool the entire summer, and then he went out on the last day, so that was fun.
That's
So,
the couch, right?
yeah, it was.
You'll always remember that.
So it was good. Busy.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
Now everybody has to go to the front.
Yeah, that's.
Okay,
it's
chief.
Sorry, it is the policy.
Thanks a lot, Megan.
It's just the hot seat, that's all.
Having sat on that online, it is so garbled and so hard to hear, and it's just so frustrating because you pick up little bits of it and everyone laughs, you know, laughing. So speak up there, chief.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
I too would like to recommend that Dave Reagan be commissioned a bust and put up a sign that says Village MacGyver, because he saves our department a lot too. And, we all really appreciate him, like he was up there today helping us with the goal. The only thing I wanted to add to my report was on July 26th, which is not included in this report. We were inspected by New York State Corrections for a holding cell In our juvenile area, I just received the letters, they sent 2 separate letters. We're in compliance, everything looks good and they're happy. Other than that, I'm willing to answer any questions.
We like it when it's quiet.
Well. Okay, anybody? Any?
I was just, it's not a question. I was just gonna say, you know, from your report, yay for the last gas vehicle replacement and move. So now we have all hybrid fleet, so that's great. And also just, you highlighted the great work our officers are doing with some life-saving awards. And so I just want to give a shout out to our officers, really good work.
Great job.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next one up. Well, let's see. Historian. Linda's out there. Paying attention, Linda?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Can
we
you
have
hear
your
me?
report.
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm upstairs scanning photos for big project right now is the new Pomeroy marker. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Carolyn's holding her head. Yes, it's going to be on the St. Lawrence County Fair where Fairlane Drive is, and there are hundreds of pictures, and that's what I'm doing right now, scanning. So I don't have my report with me because I've been out for 3 days. So do you have any other questions?
I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay, yep, so I'll have to work with Tim in the village to see if there is enough road side where it can be planted. So we're gonna plant it where those apartments are as you come into Fairlane Drive,
Okay,
okay?
we'll come up with a site.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thanks, Linda. Okay, Tim Nolan,
Um,
How you doing?
how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
Can you see me?
How you feeling?
Better. A little stuffy. Had a pretty bad cough today, but other than that, I'm doing all right. The weekend was probably the worst. I had like some kind of severe chest pains, but I'm feeling better now. Was able to
Good.
do some work at home, answer phone calls and emails, and even issued a couple permits today. And I'm having Mike run those down to the clerk's office tomorrow. And
Okay.
had a chance to read.
You Read
Did you
through the, read through your report. Does anybody have any
Okay.
questions? I don't think we have any questions for you.
Okay, great. Well,
Okay.
I'll pass it on to the next one. All right, take care.
You're getting better.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Kevin's report you have. Economic developer is not here yet. She was gonna try to get here. Treasurer's report you got. I don't know that Sally's gonna get on.
She doesn't have,
She doesn't have to hear. Okay. Okay. So, assessor. No, you're right there. You're fine.
Hi guys, big heart. Okay, let's see, the exemption, one came down from the state to the enhanced star applicants, those who are receiving a basic star exemption, who turned 65 by December 31st, 2023, to come in and apply for the enhanced star exemption. They'll be like, we're gonna do something a little different this year. And they'll leave blank applications with the town clerk. And there's gonna be a big sign on their window when the people come in to pay their school tax bill. there'll be a note, if you're turning 65 by December 31st, 2023, please see the assessor or ask for the application. Try to read them out. We had about 60 of them last year, putting notice in the paper.
Mhm.
This guy will probably do that again towards the end of the year. We'll put a new press out for that. They did raise the income guidelines, went from 92,000 up to like 93, I think it's 600. And as far as anybody else, any questions about my report or anything? No.
Okay,
And then the state came down and they want us to review our sales for the previous year. So I'm reviewing sales from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. If there's anything that needs to be not valid sale, so I'm going through those sales right now and trying to read out a couple, a few of them that we can get rid of. If this property owner who has the inventory, if we have the inventory, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, and it's sold and it was 5 bedrooms, 3 bath, or a square footage difference, or if any of the inventory is not what it was, I could not validate those sales. And which is probably good, because there were sales that came in, like I said, double or triple over what the assessments are, and when they come in like that, we know that's a red flag. We're looking at those sales. Why? Why are they coming in so much further than where they're assessed at? And sure enough, they've added, the square footage differences, the, room count differences, or they've updated things without permits and things have been done. And so try to read out those sales right now, hopefully help the equalization rate and bringing, not to drop so far, because it's like it's looking at a 10-point drop right now from what it is. So
Okay.
we're at 86 and with the coming in at 75, and we don't want it, we're trying to bring it up a little. So.
okay. Anything else? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yep.
Well, village superintendent,
Yeah, if I get back here, you want me to move up?
Move up.
yeah, just come up to.
Thanks, Carol.
Mhm.
Let's count on you.
Hot seats are hot seats.
Assuming you're going to discuss retirement and rehire.
Yes,
Yes, okay. Not gonna.
yeah, that's, and I'm gonna take care of that right
do that.
after
I'm
this.
assuming you're gonna handle that all at once.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes,
Really, I don't have much to add other than, I guess we could talk about a metal dumpster. That's always kind of fun stuff. So we have the metal dumpster from Kimco over by the DPW, and we get a lot of complaints that it looks awful.
Mhm.
Because we have a lot of trash that gets dumped there. Since I've been on, I've added signs that say that you're on camera, which people are. Also, we added a sign that we put by the dumpster that says metal only. And we still continue to get garbage, mattresses and stuff get singled out when you take them to the dump. Separately, they get charged $8 a mattress. Things like that, so we're, I don't know, maybe gonna do a little outreach there.
So Tim, the point is, people are supposed to drop off metal stuff. When it's not stuff that the metal people will pick up, then your crew needs to pile it into a truck and take it to the transfer station.
Correct,
So
and then that
if,
bill comes back to the village.
right, so, and it's their time. So I think the point is that we're offering this service to the community to give them a place to recycle or junk their metal stuff. It's really being abused. People leave a lot of stuff. I don't know, mattresses just don't strike me as metal,
No,
and there's a lot of them. And it happens very consistently. But I think the important thing for the community to understand is that it costs. It costs us in dumping fees, it costs us in, I mean, a crew is going to the transfer station at least once a month, a truck and a
Correct.
crew. So we really want to try to impress on people. I think we're pleased to be able to offer that as a service, but that we need people to take some responsibility and some ownership and, you know, play by the rules.
Agreed.
So that's, I mean, just something I want to discuss real quick.
Okay.
Outside of the normal. Other than that. We've got paint line scraping. I didn't put that on the report that I want to make sure that's done before school. And main line striping may not be done because that's with the county. It's all in their schedule. Crosswalk stuff is what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I'd like to see that done, and the flashers that we purchased, they're gonna go on State Street. I've marked out a few locations for them. I'm just waiting for approval to where to locate them exactly, and they will be put in before school starts as well.
He's gonna buy the school.
Both ends of the school zone, basically. Yeah. One down by right when you come out of Sultan. So we right before the ball field. That's what we're kind of thinking. The other one's gonna be back towards, possibly towards street end. Near Woods, right, a little further up.
Because it's DPW praise night. I also would just like to say, and I did share this with a couple of the guys that I saw in the park today. I have had specific compliments this year about the flowers on Main Street and how great they look. And I learned from Tim today that those are watered every morning.
Yeah.
Every single morning, which is, again, time and expense. It's water that we use, and I think it's, you know, it's great that we do it. It's just for.
And that's
people-
why they look.
Right, yes, I
Yes.
say water.
I get compliments from other mayors that, you know, when they drive through, they just love the way it all looks.
So really kudos,
It really
mostly
does.
to Leon, it sounds like, the petunia whisperer.
Right?
Um,
And it really is just water. There's no.
Oh, there's more in water.
Yeah, we use fertilizer too.
Oh, no, the fertilizer. I'll talk to you later.
Top stuff.
Top
It's
secret.
good, it's good, it's good stuff.
So really, I hope you'll go back and let the crew know
Yes.
if their ears were burning tonight, that really, they're
In a good
getting a
way.
lot of good attention and a lot of good, people know what they're doing.
Good.
People see what they're doing, because I think too often it seems like the work they do is unseen.
Good work on the sidewalks too.
Yes,
Great
they've done a
job.
lot on Harrison Street.
Yeah, they're looking good.
They're looking really good.
We have also in front of the school, still like. Right within the next couple of weeks to be done to
Yep.
raise that area
Yep.
that floods.
Yep.
Right
Good.
on top of Farmer.
Yes.
Yep.
Coming back towards.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yep, looking good. Okay, anything else? Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to approve, department head reports.
So moved.
Second. On favor?
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna move something around. Tim alluded to it, that, I just wanted to remind everyone that Skip Wasson is retiring. He wraps things up, this weekend. I think on Friday is his last day. At the same time, in our, agenda under new business, we have, approved the hiring of a new greenskeeper for Partridge Run Golf Course. And, we asked, Scott Nickerson to be here tonight so that you could see who he was and he could see who we are. Scott met me and I interviewed Scott along with Carol and Tim. So Hannah is another one of our board members, Klaus and Beth. Beth is on the golf committee currently, so you may see some more of her along with Carol. But I wanted to introduce Scott. It's our recommendation that he gets hired as our new greenskeeper for Partridge Run Golf Course. Of course, it's a probationary to begin with. The salary remains the same as it is for the current greenskeeper. It's 57,824. However, it would be adjusted for the time left within the season.
Mhm.
We have some other things to work out details on. But Scott needs to get right to it because things are ending quickly and we need him here, so.
Well, as a member of the golf committee and having spoken with Scott, I do want to say welcome. Scott brings a depth of experience from his work both in Massachusetts and in Florida, bringing it back to the North Country after some years. So we're delighted to have you back, delighted to have you on board, and we're probably hoping you don't have to come to too many of these meetings.
Actually, first of all, I'm very excited to be here and I appreciate the opportunity. You know, golf has been my passion for 35 years. I did retire. Paid Todd recently out of the golf business and realized that I really missed it. So when Mike called and said, hey, so we might have an opening, what do you think? I was really excited to step into the opportunity. So I will say, Tim, I get in trouble every time I got out these streets. My wife, because my flowers are all dead. I can do that. We can't even have free hanging pots over there.
So now you know, Scott, you gotta work every day.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm gonna tell her. She has Laura.
You may not play them.
Find out about fertilizer.
But anyway, I met with Skip today and the guys over at the club. I'm gonna go in tomorrow early and pretty much start and work with Skip closely, you know, for however long that we both feel that, you know, we need each other. You know, grass is grass, that's pretty common anywhere, but what is in the infrastructure as far as irrigation and things like that, the equipment, I'm sure there's a ton of knowledge that, you know, Skip has that would be very, very helpful for me to carry on the great job that he's done. So, you know, I think it's certainly a product to start with. It's very, very good. You know, I hope to be able to tweak it a little bit here and there and maybe even make it, you know, a little bit better, but it's certainly a great, I play it 3 nights a week in a league right now and leagues and I really do enjoy it. And like I said, I think Skip's done a fantastic job. My previous role, you know, it was all about money. It was just a high end stuff and it amazes me to see what the guys do here and, you know, SLU where I've been working and you know, what they do with the budget they have and the, you know, the equipment they have, what they do is absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, every piece of equipment, every guy on that can fix it, can run it, can operate, do whatever needs to be done. And it's really cool to see. So for me, that's going to be my biggest challenge and my most excitement is to be able to operate under, you know, those conditions and to perform at the level that Skip has. And, you know, like I say, working with Kevin, we hope to make some, you know, different adjustments here or there, maybe, you know, get some more money to come in and, you know, that way we won't have to rely on, you know, some of the money from the village. We'll be able to, you know, hopefully make enough to make things operate on a regular basis. So I'm very, very excited about it and it's an opportunity that I, you know, when I retired, it wasn't what I was planning on, but it, going home in the morning at 9 o'clock and having my wife said, what are you gonna do now? And I said, I don't know, I've never. The best thing was to get a job or two, so this one's perfect, and I'm really, really excited about it. You know, I thank you all for the opportunity.
Well, we are delighted to have you.
No, thank you.
And your
Welcome
expertise.
aboard.
Yes,
I need a motion.
So
Yes.
moved.
Second.
you beat me to it.
Any further discussion about Scott? All in
Well,
favor? Welcome aboard.
we're
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. Welcome aboard. And now you don't have to stay if you don't want to.
I'm enjoying it. I don't know about it everyone, but
Well, you know, I wanted to get that done. Okay. Committee reports. I'm sure we have a few committees to report. So who would like to go first?
Oh, I guess we could start off. The Court Street study The Clarkson folks are gonna be have that completed in September. And we need to decide whether we want them to come and present at our regular board meeting. Or do we want to set up a special meeting just for that? And hoping to get some input around the table here and figure that out. So that we can, I can get in touch with them and let them know the date or what we wish to do.
I was here in person for the last presentation, which was thorough and well done. I guess my question would be, would it be that length? Or what are we looking at in terms of length? Because we can't have an hour long presentation as part of our monthly meeting. And again, really appreciate all of the work that they've done, and it was in depth, and the 3 different options. I learned a lot, which was great. And I think that a bunch of us asked a lot of questions too, which also was equally, I think, helpful to them to understand from somebody who's lived here for a long time, what that traffic really looks like at different times of the year.
We want to have room for questions. We
Yeah,
wanna have time.
yeah.
I don't think it could be a whole lot shorter than what that one was. And
Then
we-
I don't think it needs to be. I think
Yeah,
it needs
we
to be
need a special meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. just-
That's my 2 cents. Having
Anybody
sat
else?
here.
I really agree with that. I heard Klaus say 45 minutes, and I just don't think we can tack that on top of a regular meeting. The
Okay.
meetings go long enough as it
Okay.
is.
I think they'd probably appreciate it if they had as much time as they need. I mean, if we didn't rush them.
Well,
So I
certainly.
agree.
Yeah, we contracted with them to do
Okay.
this for us,
I'll-
right? We should give them all the,
Mhm.
time that they need, and I agree, that's not at a board meeting.
So the one thing I guess I would say, and I think I heard Anna say this, is, for example, what I find helpful with the director's reports is that they submit us something in writing, we can look at it. No, it doesn't all have to be iterated and reiterated again. If we can get something in advance and can read it,
Yeah, we will.
then if they can hit highlights and do sort of an overview rather than walking through sort of every.
I'll
paragraph
request
of the
that.
page.
I'm sure we can get it at least electronically, and even if we can get paper copies ahead of time.
Or electronics.
I'll ask them for that. I'm sure we can get electronic copies of that.
And I do think that the first meeting was really helpful. And the length perhaps necessary because there was so much education. Now that several of us have seen that, then we've got a basis. But there are some community members here who are asking some really good questions, and people who live on that street and walk that street during, lunchtime because they work at the courthouse, and that's important.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think highlights would be great of being able to, ask those questions.
Yep.
If we can get Richard back here too, that would be awesome, because he had some really good questions as well.
Okay, I'll get in touch with them and then run an email by, I'll send them and we'll figure out a time.
So we're not. gonna do
Well,
that.
I mean.
Are there any
should-
dates now that,
Want to pick a date now?
Or-
Let's pick a date now that we can all make, and then I'll run that by them and see if they're
Yeah.
what,
If I can get on my,
The
well,
next meeting is the 24th.
yeah,
When did they say they'd be ready, folks?
well, they said they'd be ready by that meeting time.
By the
So,
21st.
so we can have it,
So it need to be then or after.
yeah, let's have it then or after. I think yeah,
well, if it's after, I'm safe.
you're
What about
saying,
the 28th?
about
What about the next week?
just don't know what, but I can try. Just trying to get in.
I might be safe for the 14th or the 28th, but I don't know.
you're okay.
But if
with
we want to
14th?
go after, if we want to.
If you want to go after the
so that-
21st,
because
that's.
They
Well,
didn't
if-
say
if-
they'd be ready.
If you're here on the 14th, Mike, why don't I run that by him?
14th.
Well, that town board meeting, okay,
Oh.
well, that's not gonna work then.
Okay,
So the-
Look at
So we're
the,
looking
see if the
at-
28th will work.
it doesn't have to be a Wednesday, right? It can be,
True.
it can be,
I won't be here the 26th or 27th, so 28th would be the first day that week that I can do it.
Mike, how about the Thursday after the town board meeting? What day is that?
That
The
may be
22nd?
the 15th.
No, after the town.
Yeah.
meeting?
Yeah, just While Mike's still here, you're
that
going
may
somewhere
be,
that next-
that, I've got 2 weeks in there that are gonna be tough, so.
Okay,
So is there a
About the
problem with the
Let's go,
28th?
let's go with the 28th.
okay,
See if they can do the 28th.
we'll shoot for the 28th. Okay,
I just,
is that, you know, Ben?
I'll work on it. I'll try.
All right,
What
I'll
time are
hold
we
on
talking
until I
about?
hear from you. Then I'll run that date by.
Well, if everybody else can make it though, too, that's fine.
Okay,
What
Okay.
time are we talking?
You wanna do 5? Is 5 good or 6? What do its preference?
6 would be better than 5.
6.
Yeah,
Okay,
you've got travel time and. I think public meetings like that, 5 o'clock is pretty tough, just because.
Okay.
We're gonna,
I mean, I do suppose that.
we'll
Right.
shoot for 6. We'll shoot-
6
good.
And then will we do some, like, because it isn't a standard meeting, you know, just besides
Notice,
noticing it
yeah.
properly, you
Yeah.
know, maybe do a little bit of
Yeah, we'll send
outreach
something out to
and
media
publicity
and
and,
put it on the website and yeah,
great.
we'll get the word out.
okay, anything else for,
The community choice aggregation, we're kind of on hold for a little bit on that because Potsdam is very interested and they might be doing CCA. And the town is thinking about it. And so Jewel Power recommended to us if we have neighboring communities that are close to deciding to do it, we should go together and, you know, not have us go in and buy early and then have, say, the town do a later buy, and then it would be confusing to people because the rates could be different. And so they recommended that if there's a good chance of neighboring communities doing it, to do it at the same time, to go in on the same buy. Not that we're jointly buying, but that we're buying at the same time so that we'd all have the same rate. So we don't end up with, say, the town going in later and then paying, you know, more for power, and then people be upset and wonder what's going on and be confused. That was the recommendation from Jewel. That's what they.
Have you heard anything more from them? They had talked about setting up a meeting with the town and the village and town of Potsdam. Have you heard any more about that?
I was in on a Zoom meeting with Potsdam. And they were planning a future meeting that hasn't happened yet. Here's the town of Potsdam is going ahead with it and the village is holding off for them. So the town has decided to go ahead. And so, but they still have to go through the process of, you know, passing the law. And so it'll be months before, you know, that.
So how does Jewel see that playing for us if the village, say if the village of Potsdam is out, we just proceed the town, like, does, if the town of Canton doesn't do it and the village of Potsdam doesn't do it, should we really be waiting for the town? Which one? For the
Well,
town of
we're not
Potsdam?
gonna wait real long. We're giving them a chance. I mean, the village is still thinking about it. They just
Oh,
haven't
I see.
made a decision to
I
move
see,
ahead,
I see.
whereas the town
That's-
is moving ahead. So we're just gonna give them, you know, maybe a couple of months, not real long. And we'll stay in touch with Jewel and get, you know, keep track of what's going on. There's, the town of Waddington is also thinking about it, and the town of Fowler is thinking about it. So we have some neighbors that are possibly gonna go in with this, so. That's just the latest, you know, and I'll keep everybody posted if there's further developments.
So is the town of Canton in?
No,
No, not yet.
they're thinking about
They're
it.
still talking
They're
about
still
it.
talking about it, yes.
Okay,
Are they actively talking about it?
I think it was on there.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So help me a little bit here with the timeline, because when we've talked about this and we talked about delaying, going out to, you know, one reason for the delay for us would be to go out to bid with a variety of communities, which makes total sense. But another reason is because that would really strengthen our public education
Exactly.
efforts.
Right.
So with all of these different communities being at different places, what's the conversation about collaborative, collective public education?
Well, so far, I've been trying to help Potsdam. They've been asking me questions and I've been sharing information with them, and we'll keep doing that. If they have meetings in the future, we can join those and have, you know, further outreach. We can encourage village citizens to join those and participate in further outreach. So I'm hoping actually that we do that. We can get more people involved and get more outreach on that, so.
My impression was that that's what Jewel was gonna do, was set up bigger,
Mhm.
broader
Mhm.
outreach plans. So like, I mean, it's great that you're having meetings with Potsdam.
Mhm.
But I think what we need to do is get them out so they're publicized
Mhm.
widely, so people say, here's something for Kenton and Potsdam, so that we can get more people.
Waddington and Fowler, if need be.
Right, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, now we'll have more time to do that. You know,
Well,
we're not
but
gonna
is that-
rush ahead and buy
Is
it.
that in our?
is that us or is that Jewel? Like,
Well,
I guess that's what
Jewel-
I'm getting at. What are Jewel's plans for public education? Do we know those?
we don't know those for sure.
That's
That's what
what
I
I
think.
would be interested in knowing
Okay.
that.
Me too, and that's where I
We'll
thought,
find out.
way back,
Mhm.
like, when we sort of. Well, after we had the meeting that
Alexia,
that Lynn Hall was at. And we said, and they said the very next day, Victor said, let's call a meeting with Potsdam and Canton and let's all get
Mhm.
together and talk and sort of plan how we would do this collectively.
Mhm.
And then I followed up with that one time and said, are we doing this? I want to be sure, I agree with Anna that
Mhm.
a big reason for doing this, because we found out it's not really, well, a big reason for doing this is the collective public education, because we didn't feel like Jewel had done a sufficient job of that
Mhm. Yeah.
when we were at the point of needing to make a decision.
we'll definitely have more public meetings and have more outreach. Absolutely. I'll find out from Jewel what the plan is and we'll let everybody know. We'll do that.
Or perhaps that meeting that sort of seemed like it was the idea, that original sort of meeting that we would get together and plan, like when that could
Maybe that might
happen.
happen.
Mhm.
Because I thought remember that day at the end of the meeting, Victor said, I'm gonna get my guys at this end, my people,
Mhm.
at this end, to think about how to best
Mhm.
handle this multi-community thing. And we didn't, at least I didn't, maybe you've heard more,
Mhm.
but I had never heard another thing.
Not much more, but we'll find out. We'll find out. Okay, that's it, Mike.
And just to clarify, I have confirmed that I can do this.
Oh, good.
Next.
I will just, because it sort of follows, the Sustainability Committee continues to have conversations with some folks who are interested in doing a DEC application for a compost venture. We've had a couple of meetings about that. They remain, I would say, somewhat unclear in their expectations of us and what they want to move forward with. So we're just sitting back until we find out, till they're able to give us a little more information. We want to be sure he doesn't get pulled into something that's, or our DPW or anybody. The Sustainability Committee, did share, asked me to share a recommendation that they have. The Sustainability Committee is aware that the town board is considering the purchase of a vehicle to be shared by the assessor and the code officer. Given that electric vehicles powered by renewable energy have numerous benefits, among which are substantial reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and consequent climate benefits, including protecting ecosystems, agriculture, and infrastructure, elimination of harmful tailpipe emissions and savings in public health costs, and lowering operating and maintenance costs. And given that there are significant incentives currently available to purchase electric vehicles at EV charging stations, the Sustainability Committee strongly urges the town and village boards to purchase electric vehicles whenever a new vehicle is needed. Given the need to reduce the use of fossil fuels, we also suggest that equipment such as lawnmowers and trimmers be replaced as needed with electric equipment. We further recommend that the town install a level 2 charging station at a convenient location. So that is from the Sustainability Committee. And finally, the last thing I'll just share, which I think is really exciting, is that there's 8 or 10 young, new members of our community who've gotten involved in the Sustainability Committee who are gathering sort of separately to have sort of a visioning workshop. You know, we've been doing this for 7 or 8 years now. It's been a lot of the same people. There's been some loss of personnel, so it's exciting to see it getting bolstered again. So,
Great.
that's sustainability. And since I have the floor, I will go into finance. Sally and Mike and I have continued to meet monthly to address the recommendations and our corrective actions after the audit. We're making great progress on that. Really checking things off. And the next step will be to work those all into written policies. I think now with Melinda on board and Megan in her place, it's in a lot of their training, it'll work to then get some of the stuff codified and written down. We are looking to hire, well, I'll say first, as everybody knows, the search for a treasurer has not yielded anything yet. We understand across the state, this is the issue, that people looking for municipal treasurers are having trouble finding people. We do plan to relaunch the search in September. But in the meantime, we are looking to hire a part-time clerk to support the office. And also later in the agenda, we'll talk about the AUD, Treasurer Malecki and the proposal for AUDs and others. And I believe that is all.
We have talked in the past, so when we advertise for new positions that we post with associate colleges too. Yeah.
I think we did that.
We did.
Okay, good.
We posted it pretty widely, actually, and spent a lot more on advertising than we typically had, and did big display ads and.
We work with the Department of Labor too, and they know that there's, in St. Lawrence County, there's 4 or 5 positions open. They can't
There's
fill,
competition.
so.
I emailed all, and not only the associated colleges, and I know it got posted, not only them, but I also sent that ad to like the relevant schools, programs in each of the 4 schools and asked them to forward to their alumni and all of that, so.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Yeah, but
Come September, though, we'll have new people here potentially teaching, and there might be some new people. who
Right.
Traveled and their spouses, maybe.
Next,
that's all for me.
Okay, so I guess that sends me up. Well, I guess I'll just say a couple of things in terms of economic development, since we didn't have Lee's, well, we have Lee's report. Yeah, if you could actually, I'll start communications and technology. If you get her report up, then I'll have a guide. So from
I
communications,
got it right here.
thank you. From communications and technology, this is an easy one. The one of the things that we had discovered through our conversations about how to improve the technology in this building is that we have been running 3 internet lines into the building. One for the court, one for the town, one for the village. And the one for the court needs to stay, they need to have their own. But we can save some money by cutting down to 1 line that then the town and the village share. All the appropriate firewalls can be put in place, all the appropriate, security for, our police, for example. And it will save us, between the town and the village, it will save us anywhere between, $900 and $1,800 a year. So we're recommending, I actually connected with John and the town agreed, so we're gonna go ahead and
Come on,
Sounds good.
save some money.
bring it on.
Absolutely.
It seemed like,
Seemed a little redundant,
Yeah.
know?
No brainer.
Yeah,
apparently,
That
of
was an easy
the
one.
various tech people, the towns and the villages have been.
all scratching their head
recommending
at
this
us
for a
as to
while.
why we were doing this. And we're like, we'll fix that.
Question.
Yeah.
Carries over from other times.
Olden days. Okay, so, that was all. Yeah, okay. For economic development, the Economic and Development Committee, I mean, again, sort of grants has been, taking up our time in our meetings. As Lee mentioned in a report, she got both the CFAs in for the 2 CFA projects, the one for the LWRP that is the town, and then our Green Innovation Grant for the water meters. So those are in. Also the Restore New York grant program has been released again. It hadn't been around for a couple of years. This isn't something that we sort of count on, but it's a really great program because there's funding up to $10 million. It's 90% reimbursable. It covers things like demolition, design, stuff that other grants do not often cover. Working with two projects that are a good fit to see, if they're not only a good fit, but ready, and if that's something that we can go forward with. And there are 2 rounds. Yes, thank you. So there's 2 rounds of this, one now, and then one, I think the letter of intent is due. The second one is the letter of intent is due in October, application in January or something to that effect, right? So working on that. And I will just say that, there, along with that, and then of course the DRI, and it's a new program, New York Forward, which is designed for, it's the same as the DRI, except it's designed for smaller communities. It's also a smaller amount of money. Interestingly enough, as we sit around the table and we look at the 2 programs side by side, we fit both the DRI communities that they are imagining applying and the New York Forward. You can apply for both. I believe a letter of intent has gone in for both just to hold our place. But at this point, we need to get back to the work that we do yearly now to, call for projects, to call through projects, and to put our best economic projects forward.
So smaller amount of money, meaning?
Meaning, I want to say that it is each region can give 1 4.5 million or 2.5 million. Don't quote me, but it's something like that. But the process is the same. One of the things that is different with the New York Forward is that there is a technical assistance option, which, makes sense, and especially designed for communities that don't have capacity to do grants. So there's like this added, do these webinars, please. And then the other thing that is interesting, I wanted to mention in particular, is that this year, for both the letter of intent for the DRI and for the New York Forward, communities were asked to put forward the names of stakeholders and community members who might potentially serve on the local planning committee. So when these grants are awarded, when Canton is successful, what happens is that the state brings in a consultant and they work with a local planning committee that then basically goes back through all of the projects that were in the original application and sorts through them and actually, decides and picks and so forth. So with this new requirement that we put those names of folks forward.
They used to establish that committee. once you
After.
know you got it.
Right.
Because that's logic.
Now, they ask for those names ahead of time. That doesn't necessarily mean that's how it'll all shake out. Anyway, so we sat down and brainstormed a list of folks who are members of our community stakeholders, tried to think, about the diversity of our community. And I think we emailed to 16 people and we got 14 yeses. Nice.
Which I think
So
is
I just think that's fabulous, you know.
And one who hasn't decided.
Okay, so maybe the strategy is to make sure that there's an investment in the community. From the state's point of view, there's investment upfront. That's what I'm saying.
Certainly, that's,
Yeah,
um,
it's possible.
I love,
but I just
I
think
I'm
that,
astonished. You needed 5 to 10
yeah,
and.
so we
uh,
hedged our bet with a lot more.
Yeah. that's fantastic.
So
Yeah,
that a 6-month commitment on their part.
Okay.
so I mean, I just think that that's just, you know, good for us to be able to recognize that, you know, our community is interested and involved and what were these, yeah, yeah,
How's that?
yeah, that's it from me, I think.
Okay,
So just quickly, I think that Megan, talked a lot about what has happened with rec, but I don't know, it's on the, old business for the agenda. The community project policy, that will be forthcoming. I don't have any comments on that right now. And the community engagement, committee, has taken a bit of a break this summer, but is gearing back up to start meeting again in the fall, to come up with some, community-based events for, public safety. So, those are quick. There you go.
okay. Any other committees?
There we go.
We're
I
busy.
quit mine.
Okay. Thank you. Communications and information, I have none. Don't have anything from the county legislator. Old business. First item is 64 Main Street update. I think you all saw the email about possibility that parking will be closed sometime soon. I have not gotten a date about that. As soon as I have it, I'll let you know. The message I received was that they would be doing some excavating, some additional test holes.
Okay.
They would keep the parking lot, likely keep the parking lot closed because they would be returning. With that being said, there's some other, things that we're working on about the cleanup, so that'll be coming out. Next item is the Verizon Tower lease. I know there was things going back and forth between Jerry and Carol. Are you
You submitted, I think everybody got everything. you did?
right?
Yep,
We're good.
yep, we're good.
Are we ready to approve that? Let it go
There's no other, user on that tower.
on that tower? No.
I I feel that Jerry's memo outlines what minor changes are in this new amendment. And they want us to get this done early. They drag their feet a lot, but I would make a motion that we
Send the,
Do it.
authorize Mike to sign it.
Second.
anything further? All in favor?
Hi.
We'll get it signed.
Yeah, they're done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well done. Thank you very much. My first negotiation. It was a tough one.
Oh, you
too,
did
let
good.
me tell you.
You did good. No, all right. I stayed out of it. Okay, next item is to approve the sale of 30 Riverside Drive to the high bidder. As you know, we authorized advertising for the sale of that property. There's actually 2 parcels there. And the deadline was on Friday at 1 o'clock, on August 12th. We received 2 bids. We received a bid from Tasha Akins for $20,000. And we received a bid from Dennis Walsh for $20,115.67. That is the high bid. We had a minimum bid required and they both met it. They both met all terms of the bid, but it would be my recommendation that that's awarded to Dennis Walsh.
Do you need a motion for that?
Yes, we do.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any
Nice.
opposed? Good. Okay, Next item was to discuss possibly vote to change the open meeting law on video conferencing. That's what our public hearing was about today, and I didn't get any public comment. I know there was some comment going back and forth between board members, and I think everything that you had identified has been dealt with.
Yep. Thank you, Jerry.
What's your pleasure?
I would just like to say again, which I keep saying, if there are a few silver linings to the pandemic, one is certainly bringing us up to speed on making our meetings more accessible. It's our goal to get as many involved as we can, so the work we do is as transparent as possible. So I'm really happy to have a way to continue this format.
Makes sense. Okay, I need a motion then. So moved. I need a second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yay.
Anybody opposed? Okay, last item on here, and as Beth referenced, the recreation policy for community projects. I kept that there under old business because I just wanted a placekeeping. So just keep ourselves focused. Verizon Tower at least will come off now, so there's no more room up there.
I am eager to see where we get with that, because certainly the goal is to use it as our jumping off point for other projects, and
Yep.
Getting in these conversations about composting, a lot of the stuff that we talked about around the trees today. We just really have to handle on when other people, when there are outside projects, what the commitments are for the municipality.
I will get in touch.
Okay, moving on, new business. Authorized payment of vouchers and transfer of funds.
So moved.
Second. Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No, who's first and second? 'Cause I'm not sure. Oh, she's second recorded.
Yeah, it's being recorded. so.
Sorry.
Okay, next item is to accept resignation of police officer Josh Rose. You received his letter of resignation, so. The motion to. Second,
That was Beth.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
You didn't ask for discussion.
You want discussion?
Well, I wanted to comment.
Comment, please.
I wanted to, I very much appreciated his resignation letter. It's one of the best that I've seen in my nearly 7 years as a trustee. And I want to send my gratitude to him for being a stellar officer, and we appreciate his service. I wish him the best in his new endeavors, and he will be missed.
Great.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, I really appreciated this letter and what he's done.
He has been busy. All in favor?
Aye.
Did we vote? All in favor?
You, yeah.
Yes,
I-
okay.
We
I'm
did it,
sorry.
and then I
Then
interrupted.
you interrupted me. Okay. Next item was to approve the search for a police officer.
So moved.
And I do want to add, okay, that there's a likely possibility, well, I think it's going to happen, of retirement also. So,
Wait, we've been doing this for a very long time.
Chief,
Gonna happen.
so,
And we will expect a really nicely written letter, so tell me that. Yeah, work that out for him.
That's not happening.
we will look for options, including transfers, if there's any out there. And we will ask for the list, but there's also a test coming up in September, early September. So there's,
Was it a county test?
no, this is it's a county test, but there'd be a village list established out of it.
Yep.
So Chief and I will work on some options. What we get for interviews, we'll decide how that's gonna roll
And
and
you'll be in touch with us.
yeah.
Keep
So
us in the
as
loop.
long as I have approval to move forward on that, all in favor?
I-
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, I did not get the letter of resignation from Denny Ann Kilgore. But she's a part-time police dispatcher and she's moved on. you know, I think there's some complications in her life. And
So moved.
so,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Also with our thanks.
Yes, with thanks.
And gratitude for
And
service.
gratitude.
It's not, dispatcher's not an easy job. That's for sure.
And at the same time, I want to seek your approval to search for a part-time police dispatcher.
So much.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, well, we did that. Next item is approve CPA for AUDs and audit services 2023 through 2027. Circulated
Mhm.
that to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's especially as Carol and I have spoke about it recently and talked about it in our finance committee meetings. It's especially important since we're having a difficult time finding a treasurer, so.
Yep.
And we need some consistency in how we're doing this, so I need a motion to approve those services.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Klaus,
Also the second.
okay,
I have a question. I definitely agree with contracting with them. My question is about the length of time. It's a 5-year contract.
Mhm.
And I certainly hope we can get a treasurer within the next couple of years. And it would make sense to me that as a treasurer, you know, obviously, once a treasurer is, you know, has time to settle in and, you know, get things sorted the way that they might wish to, that the, you know, the audit and or the AUDs, certainly the AUDs would come back in-house. And I guess looking at the price tag, it seems to me we're, you know, I would be more comfortable maybe signing a 3-year contract.
well, they wanted a longer term contract because it's 1 year builds on the next year.
Mhm.
And they're looking for consistency. And when Sally and I we had actually sat down and met with them. And talked about it. And that's how that worked out. And I'm just concerned that, you know, we have to have that consistency. And I think it's important for all of us to see it from an independent person.
I have a couple of things to say. I don't disagree with that at all, what you're saying. Because I raised, as you know, the question of it being that many years. I think the important thing to point out is this is for the fiscal year ending May. This begins next year.
Right.
So there's not an audit. It's not covered, there's not an audit covered this year. So we're talking about going all the way out to 2027. So I think the important thing of understanding that there's not an audit covered by this for this past year. And that it's going out 5 years. I would like to hear what they would say, what the prices would look like if they would consider 3 years. I agree with that. As you know, because
I'll go back to them.
Can I go back to
When we,
the pointing out that it's 23 and not 22? So why is that 22?
that's when they can start the process.
But would it include the 22?
It would include everything starting next year.
But what about this year?
It'll start this year
Mhm.
at the end of the season.
Yeah.
At the end of our budget season. You know, in 2023, would include this year that we're currently in.
Right, so the audit would be for the year we're currently in. It would
Where
begin
we're
next
in now,
year.
right?
We're not
Whereas
auditing
we-
last year.
we
We thought we were gonna
have
audit
an
last
audit
year.
from last
It-
year,
it's-
which they started working for us
Mhm,
in that time. And I think it was
Right.
our understanding that once we got all the AUDs wrapped up,
right.
there would also be an audit at the end.
And they're doing this
Right.
year's AUD,
They
but
are.
yes, but it doesn't
Right.
include the audit. The audit would be in this current budget year. As we finish it,
And
would
it's
be
not
presented.
possible to get an audit for
No.
this.
we talked to them about that.
I think that was just a misunderstanding on her.
But I
Yeah.
think you're probably right, but at the same time, each of these years, once they've got, we're in place with them. You know, one year builds on the next year.
Right,
And that's
they have
why
all
they
the
look at
data.
that.
they-
Well, yeah, and that's why they're you know, looking to make it a longer term. I can try to shorter term, but
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, I don't know if they'll be receptive to that or not.
I'd be interested in hearing, that, you know, if they're not receptive to that, why? I mean, you know, have them explain to us why it really needs to be 5 years, especially since we're talking about the 5 years starting next year. If they've got a good explanation for that for us,
Right,
I'm happy to hear. But I'm glad.
I'm
you-
just
glad you
thinking.
brought it up because I had raised it with Mike and Sally as well.
And really, my only, I mean, that just seems like
Well-
that might be an expense that we wouldn't need to.
The only
expend.
thing you should be doing the audit. That is, should
Yes,
be
for
an
sure.
annually thing we
For
should be
sure.
doing,
No question.
but. You know, that means the board sits down and does that audit internally,
Mhm.
and the services that they provide. You know, is an external audit, and I think that's very important.
I don't think, I don't.
The AUD
disagree.
piece, the AUD piece,
Comment.
maybe come back in, but you
Right.
know, that can.
I think it was definitely the consensus of this board, which is the board,
But-
it's the board for now, that we would have the audits done by them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
agreed.
And
Yeah, yeah,
the AUD, I think, is a piece that
Mhm.
helps build that too.
So maybe another option then, because we are agreed that we want the audits to be done. That, you know, at
Yes.
least for some, so maybe another option would be to ask them if, you know, years 4 and 5, or even 3, 4, and 5, given that this doesn't start until. Right, that perhaps what, you know, the AUDs come back in at that point with our treasurer, we continue to contract with them for the audit.
Audits.
And how might that change our price point?
All right, I'll talk to them. So we
Yeah,
gotta
I
do.
think that's a good.
Thank you.
Okay,
The underlying message is we were thrilled with the work they did.
Absolutely.
We have total confidence in the work they're doing for us. We want them, and I guess in my looking at doing 3-year contracts, that's not to say at the end of 3 years, I wouldn't recommend doing 3 more, or 5, you
Right.
know, but I think if we could do it in smaller bites, just so that we know where we are.
Right.
3 years, really, right now, 4 years.
And I think that that's,
well, let me talk to them and then we'll go from there.
I think that that's also fair. Or maybe even more fair for future boards who are, right?
Because it's a big ticket.
It's right,
Well-
and it's important work. That as we have new members come, they need time to be educated on.
But I think we also have the ability to set a standard here that we need to set. And I think that's the important piece.
Right.
And, you know,
I think we have
that
evidence. to set
forces-
precedents.
forces other boards in the future to follow the path.
Mhm.
I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
We need to
Well,
follow that.
I
So-
do think that we have established that they are a great firm, that they've done great work, and that I don't hear that we don't want to terminate their services. I hear that we want to modify the length of time.
Or
Right.
better understand them.
Or better understand
why,
in
why,
any case.
yeah. Or like I said, what if we just pull the AUDs out for the last 2 years?
Well-
Assuming that our treasurer would be well prepared to do those by that point.
Okay, I'll find out. Next item is second notice fee for taxes that you should have received that. I'm pretty much used to that.
Yep. Setting the fee at 0.
Setting the fee at 0. We have to,
Also, work that the action that we have on the-
well, that's not gonna happen.
Just point it out.
The resolution for, second notice, you have to,
Yeah, so-
vote for, $0 to be charged.
That's always Sally's recommendation. It's less complicated
Yeah.
It's reasonable.
So I have a
Second,
second, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay, last item is scheduled public hearing for a Restore New York grant. Lee didn't make it, so I think we can probably do it for a regular meeting,
yeah, I think so,
which is,
but we might want to consider,
we'll make it a little bit longer.
yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest.
What's the date of the next one?
The 21st. I mean. Half hour? Does that seem right?
I don't know, how about 15 minutes and
And
if
we
it
go into-
extends,
Okay.
Yeah, 15. So good. So 6.
so 6:15 on the 21st.
Hmm.
Got it.
And that's was Lee's request that we
Yeah.
did that, so.
Yeah, we need to do that before.
We're good. If we do it that day.
Yeah,
Okay. So. Public comment. I didn't forget this time.
Wow, wow, we went all the way through that.
Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session. For the purposes of. Contract employment.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Perfect. Stop recording. I need a motion to approve hiring Henry Wasson as a contract employee or consultant at the rate of $50 an hour for a maximum of 20 hours per week for 4 weeks. Up to 4 weeks.
Mhm.
Up to 20 hours per week, up to 4 weeks.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay. Now I need a motion to put an end to this meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night.
8:42.